I haven't had the opportunity to really sit down and just discuss a couple of topics recently. It's what I used to do all of the time, but I've been so busy lately with various things I won't bore people with. This video I want to do a changing Dundee, a little bit of talk about it and a couple of updates that has happened since I uploaded that video, and a little bit about photography as well. Around about the start of August, I think it was the 3rd of August, I uploaded a video that I'd been working on for a little while called Changing Dundee in 2017. What that video basically is a look at the redevelopments and developments that are going on right now here in Dundee. Things like the V&A Museum, the Sea-Based Pedestrian Bridge, the City Quay, and a few things like that. The video was actually streamlined quite a bit and different than I originally intended it to be. Originally I intended it to be a bit more of a personal journey around Dundee, but going out and using the camcorder that I'm recording this on right now and taking footage, I quickly realised that there are many places, at least 6 or 7 at minimum, of places where I used to go on a regular basis that are no longer standing or are empty lots of land or are being rebuilt upon. And so there was no point really in showing empty lots of land, especially considering it's only been the last couple of years that I've actually gone out and about and taken video and photos of Dundee. So I don't have a library going back many years of photos of those buildings standing, and I didn't want to use other people's photos and possibly complaints or whatever, so I kind of streamlined it there. I also streamlined it in using old footage, old video. There is a video up still on my YouTube channel. I believe it's called something like the site of the V&A Museum in Dundee. It was a video that I took. It was the only and last day that I was able to get down to where the old Olympia, and I think it was the bingo place or something, so the area also of the old Hilton Hotel. It was the last day that I was able to get, and only day that I was able to get down there before they fenced everything off and started demolishing the area in preparation to build the new V&A Museum. I took that footage with an old Vivitar camcorder, and looking at the footage, it's pretty poor quality, so I decided not to use a whole deal of old footage, especially considering that I wanted to show Dundee as it is now, as it is in 2017, so I decided not to use a lot of the old footage that I had. Some of them, it's poor quality. Even I included, just for reasons because, well, firstly for personal reasons, because it was where my paternal grandparents lived, and also the fact that it was a great example of landmarks disappearing and or changing in Dundee, was the Derby Street multis. I used old footage from my Vivitar camera, camcorder, to a little bit like that, a little bit to show what they look like. But again, I tried to limit that, kind of have it relatively quickly, because it is such poor quality video. So I tried to, as I said, trying to keep it to show people what Dundee looks like in 2017. So I didn't use too much old footage. As I said, I thought it felt important to use the Derby Street multi footage, but I looking at that and look at the footage of the old Olympia, which is just all on YouTube, and I might put something together when V&A Museum opens, but I'll get to that in a minute. But sadly, look at the old footage. I wanted to kind of limit the old footage that I was using there. So when it comes to the updates about what's happening, I can't put annotations up anymore on YouTube videos, which is where you could go back and add text. Oh, this has happened, or this has happened, or this this place is now opening on this date or whatever. You can't do that anymore, unfortunately. They've got rid of a few features that I use on a regular basis, unfortunately, in YouTube in the last couple of years, including recording straight to YouTube using your web camera. But the updates around Dundee, well, three decent ones, decent enough to mention. The first one, I'll mention first, the train station, the new entrance train station, and then foyer is supposed to have shops. Something has a 120 room hotel. That was also featured that's also featured in the Changing Dundee video. That is scheduled now to be open around about March. I'm thinking personally around about March or April. They of course want to capture the summer crowd, those who I wouldn't say tip over the top, but those who may be interested in getting the train to Dundee from Scotland or England or even of course abroad, they want to maybe go, and that might be somewhere they want to visit, maybe using the cafes. I'm not sure how open it will be to non-travellers, and I'm not sure how much videoing or photoing, photography that I'll be able to do in that area. I'll maybe see whether they've got a social media presence, and nearer the time see what they're saying. I don't think there's an official Dundee train station social media presence. I'm not entirely sure. There might be. There really should be. I feel that it should be maybe, but I don't know whether that comes in the auspices of the ScotRail or whoever owns the building now. I'm not sure, but so that'll be opening in March, and so I'll be taking photos and video out, at least outside, to show people when around about that time when it opens. Also, was it the next? This was the City Quay. I was down there as well. I featured that. The new wakeboarding centre is open. It's now, I've seen it on a lot of Dundee YouTubers' channel. People giving that a go. I might wander down there just to see whether I can take any photos, and maybe just even watch people having a go at it. It's not kind of my thing, but we'll I might wander down there, see what the setup, the final setup is like. Because the last time I was down there, it was obviously in the midst of being built. It was in the midst of being put together. So that's now open. It looks quite expensive from the video that I saw of the prices. And it's quite a small area. I still felt I was unsure about that project because it seems to be quite a small. It is quite a small area. So I want to go down there certainly at some point soon and have a look, even just for myself, see how they're using the space that they've got. Also, as I was putting the Changing Dundee video together, I was still going out and taking footage. I stopped and started 3 or 4 times until I got the camcorder, which I'm using to record this again. I got that and I took footage because, as I said, I wanted to keep it fresh footage, what the city looks like this year, not this last year or the year before. And one of the things that I decided kind of last minute to include was the bit about Dundee Football Club and Dundee United Football Club and their respective stadiums of Dens Park and Tannadice Park. There's been talk the last couple of years of Dundee Football Club wanting to move away from Dens to another stadium, and as I said on that video, the talk was really strong right around the time I published that video that they're really wanting to move to the Camperdown area, move right beside the Dundee Ice Arena, and they have since made plans public. Now this isn't obviously all been given the go-ahead as of the time of recording. I think it'll be probably some point next year whether it may given the go-ahead. But they've unveiled plans for several different facilities, including, weirdly enough, a crematorium. Maybe they want to burn their own chances in competitions before other teams can do it for them. Last night, as I recorded this, they got beat by Celtic quite well, 4-0. My personal opinion is that, considering some of the decisions that things like Dundee Council have been making recently, turning down some of the kid play area facilities that have been put forward, soft play, the trampoline project, and kind of project, kind of like trampoline centre. I think it's supposed to be maybe in the old Dendron market, and the amount of, maybe it's another subject for another time, the amount of cafes and restaurants that have been approved, and I know the city will only bear as many as they can bear. So say they open 20 new ones and say only 10 of them are decent, customers will go to those 10 that are decent and the other 10 will eventually fade away. And I understand that, but I do feel maybe, even qualifications in the hospitality industry, I do kind of feel it's maybe slightly over, a little bit too much. I feel maybe a little bit overkill on the cafes and restaurants that are opening up in the city right now. But again, maybe the city will bear what it can bear in the future. I think certainly the fans for Dundee Football Club will be given the go ahead. I think it will be sad to see the record of the two closest professional football teams of Dundee United and Dundee Football Club disappearing. I think it'll be sad to see that record go, but my own personal feeling, I think the go ahead will be given eventually, and we will see Dundee move to the Camperdown area, right next, of course, to Camperdown Park. I also want to talk about photography in this video. I bought a new lens recently. It's a new Tamron Ultra Zoom. That's not what I want to talk about, because I want to go out a couple of times, get the feel of it, use it a couple of places. I've got a few places in my mind where I could possibly use it, test it out. A couple of areas in Dundee that I still haven't gotten to, even just to take photos. There's a couple of those places I might take that lens to and try it out. There's a couple of places I think might be really good to use that lens. Because there's an ultra zoom, very long zoom on it, so yeah, it might be good. I've tried it out, around the house, obviously, when I got it yesterday. The results look okay, but I'll put up a proper review of it, what I think of it, probably in a couple of weeks or so, once I have the opportunity, because the weather's not been good. I've not had the opportunity, for reasons I won't bore people with, to go out and take photos recently, but once I get a feel for the lens, used it a few times, then I'll put up a video about it. But that's not what I want to talk about in terms of photography. What I do want to talk about is that I've realised, with being busy, doing other things as well, I've realised recently that there's been something about photography that's been on my mind for a while. And that is, for lack of a better term, real photography and photo editing skills. I'm not against photo editing. This is not a rant or anything to say, oh, down with photo editing. So I've watched literally hundreds of videos about photography over the last several years on YouTube and a couple other sites. And some of the skills, some of the processes that are able to be done on photos these days are absolutely amazing. Changing vehicle colours, changing backgrounds, cutting out sections of the photo to put up maybe on another photo, or to obviously things like panoramic views, where you take lots of different photos, like 45 photos, and stitch them together to make one panoramic view, like you're looking out on a landscape, like say at the edge of a sea or a lake with mountains in the background. It's amazing, it really is. But one of the things that I've been really thinking about lately is, and I don't know whether there really is a kind of a line in photography between so-called real photography and video editing skills. And if I'm pushed, if I was to say there was a line, it would obviously have to be any image or a photo you can take with your camera and the settings and your camera equipment. And I've always said it's up to each individual what camera they want to use, equipment, obviously software and lenses, filters or whatever. I would say it's so-called real photography ends where, or is where you can just use your camera and your camera equipment to take the photo, and photo editing skills obviously begin wherever it is, you even slightly alter, or more than just slightly, but where you really begin to alter that image in Lightroom or Photoshop. I would say that's kind of where the line is between so-called real photography and video editing photo editing skills, I should say. I've seen this. I'm not having a go because I think some of the photo skills that I've seen on lots of these videos and the processes are absolutely amazing. I kind of have my personal feeling, and I've always said that many things, including photography, it's all up to the individual how they want to do things, their attitudes. And I've seen some of the critiquing videos online lately. I kind of forced myself to watch some of them, and some of them have a go at the person's photo, kind of too roughly sometimes, in my opinion. What you think might be a good photo, other people might think it's a bad photo. Again, it's up to each individual's taste, but I would certainly say that when it comes to when it comes to me at least, I prefer kind of realism style of go out, I use the settings on my camera, I take the photo of whatever's there, and that's how I tend to leave it. Maybe it's partly because I'm not hugely skilled, or really very skilled at all, at Photoshop or Lightroom, one of the photo editing softwares. Maybe I should or will play around with Photoshop. I've got Photoshop Elements 8, which I know is an old program. My laptop's a little bit older. I don't know what software I'll have on my new laptop when I eventually invest in one. So I'll look at my own personal situation then and see what I decide. But I kind of prefer to go out, especially the photo videos that I put up lately of the house cemetery and the discovery. I tend to just take the photo and leave them as they are. Many people can, you can tell quite often in my photo videos. That's what I do, especially in the wrestling ones. I kind of tend to not edit them too much. Try and get the settings right more than use any photo editing software to alter them. I've played around with it a little bit. Maybe you should at some point go, but really try and play around. I've mucked about with it a couple of times. A picture I brought the Ferry Castle, made the background all black, turned it to black and white, and it made the sky completely black, and it looks a bit weird. But that's about as much as I've done, mostly with Photoshop. So maybe I'll look some point in the future about different effects and different things I could do with Photoshop. Maybe that's something next year to concentrate on. Maybe not to concentrate on, but to kind of have a go at. I prefer to go out, take a photo, and kind of a realism aspect, and that's how the photo is. Try and use some good settings set up. So when I take that photo, that's how it is, and I kind of prefer it. It's up to each individual, but that's really going to be the question on my mind of is there a kind of line in photography of so-called real photography and video and photo editing skills? Don't know why I keep wanting to say video, but is there that line between so-called real photography and photo editing skills? Does it matter? And or is it just, or is this just the whole wide spectrum of photography? Personally, I kind of feel that they're not really photos if you alter them too much, if you alter them radically. I don't feel that you could really call them photos. They're more kind of altered images or edited images. But again, I'm not saying that they're bad, because I've seen some amazing products, some amazing stuff on there. But it's just something that's been on my mind. Is there that line between so-called real photography and photo editing skills?